Special event, but I do want to express that I have spent at least 8 years in East London, and not so many people actually, even in Joburg or elsewhere, knew about my move, and I really wanted to be private here. And this was like a perfect place for me to gather my wood and and grow in various ways. Yeah. And I just felt that like I really needed the silence to develop all of these things. And of course, coming here was with a very close friend. Someone mentioned him earlier on. And yeah, so we're kind of making this decision together. It's like, man, do we do it? No. Okay. And he says, I'm gonna go home. And I'm like, then we go. We were working, I think, for another school in Joburg at the time. And we come back, it's like, it was quite a lengthy kind of process. And at the time, Saintuli was the director at ECABC, and he kept calling, he's very persistent. It's like, but for 1 year, I'm like, but for we're still figuring this out. And of course, eventually we came, and I remember we produced a number of records. I think I have enough strength to mention with Sisa Sopazi.
Yeah.
He's a very close friend of mine.
Yeah, man.
And we kind of set up a lot of portals here in East London and the Eastern Cape, and guiding various projects that really became important in the coming years. So leaving this place, I mean, not even to mention my whole academic journey and how Forte played a serious role in that. They kept putting pressure. This one time I got an email, we need you to become the head of department. I was like, what? I just play the piano. And at the time, I saw it fit that I should go and at least get my master's. And there was a whole process going with students that at the time now would be the age of my daughter, And I remember we went to this methods class. I was going to methodology class for the first time with an entire family married and everything. And I was like, wow, methods, it's quite something. And it was meant to be a block session over 2 weeks. And after 3 days, one of the kids started saying, I was like, yeah, that's it, this is when I leave. And I came back home, and I was like, I think I can figure this out on my own. And I asked for all the reading materials, and I was home like trying to figure this thing, but I wasn't ready to become an uncle in a classroom. Nonetheless, that process was quite heavy and tedious, and I want to really thank Prof. Twane, who was the head of department at the time at the University of Forte. She heard me speak in one of the conferences, and I was invited to do a keynote address, but not as a scholar, but more as an artist that had some insight with regards to the things that I was doing. And then Prof. Twane heard this, and she was like, Makhathini, do you know that you are actually a critical thinker? I was, what is that? What is that? But that's just really the journey that wouldn't have unfolded if I wasn't in East London.
Yeah.
And of course, after graduating, thank you. And of course, after graduating with my master's, I told my wife, I was like, I think I want to register for my PhD. She was like, I will. I'm like, yeah, I think I really want to do it. And I think this was 2019. And of course, given the nature of my practice, time with my family, I pushed myself to actually finish in record time, which is not so much about my brains, but more about my journey. And I really couldn't spend more time than allocated, which got me really frustrated at the end of last year. And I remember when I did my last defense exam, I was touring in Italy, and I jumped off the flight and the Zoom was starting. And when I opened, there was Prof. Mbuso Khoza. Everyone that is a decolonial scholar would know how heavy it is to see Mbuso Khoza on the screen for your exam. So I was like, yeah, can I just get a minute to get some water or something? But, you know, this is just, I definitely believe that this wouldn't have been, I wouldn't have realized any of these paths of this itinerary if I wasn't in East London. And I really want to express my gratitude to the people in East London that more than anything just gave me the space to be, like, you know, because sometimes we really want people to be on our side, but sometimes it's okay for people to just give a bit of space and you figure out what you need to figure out. And Joburg was definitely not allowing of such a space for me. So I'm thankful, but that's enough about my story in East London. And now I want to modulate and talk about this project. It's truly an honor to be doing this very special project for you. This is only the second time we ever present this project. So and again, it's just, so when Devin was like, we want to be the first place where you actually perform this album live, I was like, no. I think I have to do it in this land, and then 2 days later, then I'll come to you. But the project started during lockdown when we were really talking about this. There's a serious challenge of memory, belonging, identities, post-coloniality, and all of these problems almost challenge us on a daily basis. Like when we say we are Africans, what do we really mean? Or even when we say Singamazulu, what do we mean? There seems to be a despondency with regards to the foundations of these things that we claim. So in looking and investigating our surnames, mine is Makhathini, and his is Khoza, but his clan name is Makhathini. And I was like, okay, so this does kind of index something about our forefathers and how they were thinking about space concepts or cosmological concepts or star systems. And of course it's explicit in the Basotho cosmology. They have a branch called Badumedi, which, you know, the people of the stars. And I mean, it's even in their greetings when they say Ligai, they don't say Unjani, they ask, where are you? And that has to do with the coordinates with regards to space. So I started becoming interested in this. Yeah, and so I was like, Mkhathini, siyenza njani le ndaba? And I think this is when I stop and the big brother speaks some proper sense.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's my second time being in this beautiful space, and I want to know. I was invited by Mr. Siseko Pame, one of the best artists from this. But what my brother just said here is beautiful. Sometimes I would ask myself as Amanguni, when we think of a difference or a distinction between ingqondo and umqondo. So ingqondo being a body organ. Now, but what is a mind? A mind is a space. Your neighbors live there, your friends live there. It's up to you how to alter the garden. Mkhathini. Thank you.
And now we're going to borrow a song that I had written for an ensemble that we once called Umgidi Ensemble. And so one of my young bros was asking me, are you going to bring a composition to this band? I was like, man,
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean,
that's Mbuso.
all of you can go home. All of you can go home if I sing him. We're good. Then I wrote this song called Iskere. And of course, you know, he always claims to be the most indigenous one. That's an entire thesis. I can argue that heavy, and he won't like me when I argue, but
You can take it from here now. Let's start with the epistemology now.
So in any case, this issue of indigenousness and memory, and how in coming to the township, and township as this space that really pushes one to utter dysfunctionality in all kinds of ways. And how people in the township, including myself, have always refused to forget some of the earliest memory. And post-coloniality, of course, set up all of these problems, spatiality, how to put people in congested spaces so that ingqondo nomqondo can't really, and people in the township will say ukeleza, and ukeleza is the flow. And this flow becomes impossible in the township. So I started thinking about my grandmother and my mom, of course, and there was this melody that they used to sing. So I presented it, and the rest is, what do they say? The rest is history. The rest is the future, in this case.
We were born in the land of Abengoni. Mr. Makhathini is from the land that you call Mbuzo, but it's not the original Mbuzo, but they are famous for the battle that took place in 1840 between King Dingane and his brother Pande, the Battle of Emakongo. On the other hand, I was born in the land of Abengoni called Ekowe Lenkosi, but the British could not pronounce Ekowe, meaning mushrooms, but they said Ishawe. So when you go to a show, it's more like 1 hour, 30 minutes from there. You cross Mvoti, you cross Inonodi, you cross Amatigul. Amatigul, it's when King Shala was respecting his grandmother, Unozinja, Manzini, was it Amada, Amakulu. Further you cross, you'll see Uchungela, up to, you see a body, Mandeni. Mandeni means Mandeni. When someone passes away in Singuni, we call it Inde, because the soul is departed, but the body being what is round. So I'm from the land of Amakhosa, I'm from the land of Skukune, I'm from the land of Mshweshwe, Wati Ribasut. I'm from the land of Mkoloko, but you don't sit on the Siniga bafo, siniga badlemuli, siniga bahlukumezi bengane, sikalimbi wena kandaba. Wena siyawulale maweni wena wendlovu enamandla. Siwe nobuba, siwe nendlala kulelizwe. Sathi sadle samamke ngane. Uyamkanda mawali izizwe. Waliwa izizwe zomhlabathi. Siyakhuleka wena mbunomnyama. Siyakhuleka wena kaluzimane. Sikhuleka wena kamalandela ngolandela kamawajoja. Sikhuleka wena mshweshwe omnyama. Nalizela bamkhulule muka nomfula. Sesaphila ngoqamcishi kumnyama kuyakhanya kulelizwe. Sicela impi wena ndaba.